fish on. So I'm using this bait caster, Okuma cold water, low profile. First fish is a lingcod. Awesome. Good morning, Red's World Outdoors here. We're gonna head out. We've made some little adjustments to the kayak and some fishing gear. So we're gonna go out of Charleston, Oregon again here and see if we can get on some little decent sized lingcods. So come along and see what we can catch. Back again at Charleston Harbor. The sun's coming up, about 36 degrees out here. To get back on some of those big lingcod. I know they're out there. Just got to put the time in. Let's see if I can outrun this boat. Or surface wake one. Super Bowl Sunday. There's a few boats out here. I was a little surprised to see that, just being how cold it is and being Super Bowl Sunday. Football isn't everything, obviously. So last time I was out here, I was using, I think it was a 2-aught hook, just a single. And I was having a hard time getting those lingcod to stay on. And so I've switched over to this, what we call a Mooching Rig, and it's 2 hooks on one line, and it slides apart. And so you can hook this top hook into the head or lip of your bait, and then this bottom hook, you stretch it out as long as you need it to hook into the tail or the bottom part of your bait. And that's a Mooching slip knot, and it's Eagle Claw brand, so that's what they call it. Those lingcod, you can, if you're using big bait for them, they'll actually just latch onto your bait and not be hooked. And they won't let go. You can pull on them and bring them all the way up to the boat and gaff them without them ever being hooked, because they're just so aggressive, they just won't let go of that bait. So it gets a little frustrating sometimes. You put in a fight for a big fish, you bring it all the way up, you can see it at the surface, and then all of a sudden they decide to let go when they're ready. So using these 2 hooks, it makes it a little better, for a better chance of hooking them. So I'm going to start off using this 3-ounce banana weight. You hook the top here to your main line coming off your rod with a snap swivel. Then you connect that to your Mooching Rig leader. Usually comes with one, about 4 to 5 feet. And so this weight drags along the bottom or just off the bottom, and then allows this bait line to just sway in the current there. So very attractive to these fish. It's common for the lingcod or salmon, or even drifting across the lake with catfish. Called a Mooching Rig. So I'm going to start off with a pretty big herring here, about 6 inch. Take this top hook. I like to put it through the gill plate just a little stronger hold. If I put it through the eyeballs, it seems to just wiggle out too easily after the fish has been down there for a while. And you take this bottom hook, just hook it right back towards the tail, through the spine. Just work it so you have some of that hook sticking up there. So you have the hook in the head and then hooking it in the tail. And then you can pull this slack out and it's nice and streamlined. If you're trolling with it and you want it to spin, which is very common for salmon, you put a little bend to it and you can pull that slack out and it'll keep the bend in it. And so while it's in the current or you're trolling it, it'll just continuously spin. If you do that, I recommend putting a pretty good amount of swivel on there so it doesn't twist up your line. So I'm using this baitcaster, Okuma cold water, low profile. I got paired up with a 7-foot medium Berkeley lightning rod. Only reason why I picked this setup is being in the kayak here. It's fairly short rod. It's stiff action, and then when using it with a baitcaster, I like to use a very stiff rod. I've grown up with spinning reels all my life. I love them, but out here in this kayak type fishing where there's a lot of rocks, fishing these reefs, you're just fishing straight up and down and jigging straight up and down, and so you want to be able to pull that line right up on top of the rock, and then as you move forward maybe a foot, it drops off of that boulder or rock, and you want it to get all the way back down to the bottom. So I recommend this baitcaster where you can have this push button action and it just drops your line instantly instead of having to reach over and flip your bail and let out some line and re-reel. This one with this push button, you can instantly just drop it down so you can work these rocks up and down as you go across them. You can see here as I'm trolling, it's got a little bend to that bait, so it just keeps a constant spin. This reel has a line counter on it. It says I'm 21 feet out in my depth finder. It says I'm 20.5, so pretty accurate. Fish on. Thought I had a snag for a minute. Turned out, first fish is a lingcod. Awesome. You can see how both those hooks are tangled up in them. But really, it's just tangled in its mouth. It's not even really hooked. The line is tangled up under its gill plate, but the hooks aren't embedded in them. That's how easy it came out. Got lucky on that one. I'm not even gonna measure this guy. He might be 19, 20 inches, but they have to be 22 inches to keep. We'll throw this one back. Man, what a way to start the day. Drifting for about 4 minutes and he hooked up. It felt like a snag, and then it just started taking off. The water's so clear I can see the bottom here. You You can see seashells down there on the bottom. We're at about 18 feet, 18.2 feet. It looks like a swimming pool. Should be diving today instead of doing this fishing. Water's only 47 degrees. All right, another fish on. Oh, came off. Damn it. And took my bait. You can see the pattern of that bottom and compare it to the pattern of those lingcod. They blend right in. We could be going over them right now and not even know it. We're in 13 feet of water. You see sea anemones and crabs, a bunch of shells. With those lingcod, they don't really hammer the bait like a lot of fish. It just feels like a snag where they just grab it and slowly swim away with it or stay in one spot as you keep drifting. So you don't know if you're hung up on a rock or you're hung up on a fish. The regular rockfish, they hit it like anything else, like a bass or a trout. They bite it and really shake the heck out of your rod. In fact, some of the bigger lingcod, they just feel like you're slowly dragging up a log. They don't even shake their head. I know there's some piles of rocks in the middle of it somewhere, so see if we can find that. That's what's going to be holding the fish. Any kind of structure. Other than that, it's like a desert around there, just flat sand, no fish on the, unless you get the salmon coming in, migrating up the river. Other than that, everything you catch out here is basically just going to be sitting around the rocks or some kind of structure. The team of seals over there going across in front of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at least. Just waiting for me to catch a fish and they can run over here and steal it from me. Which is fun in itself, as long as they don't flip me over. Guess they're gonna come over and say hi. A little eerie feeling when you got 7 sea lion cruising right by you. Going across some structure here, and we're hooked up. Pulling pretty good. Oh, a nice copper. He's going for some big bait. We'll keep him for dinner. These things are like catching a, I don't know, it looks like a smallmouth bass except for the big fins. The way the mouth is structured and the eyes, it's just a bass. Alright, we'll put him on the stringer. Hopefully the sea lions don't come up and grab them off the stringer and pull me over. I use one of these homemade, I made it, you can buy them, but spearfishermen like using them. I use I think it's like a 200-pound line here, And then I found this aluminum rod, put a hole in it, but it's just like a T-handle, and you slide that through the gills and the mouth, and then the T swings to where it can't come back off. So you hang that off your belt when you're spearfishing or off your kayak. It works really well here. Got a big ship coming through. I don't know what they're hauling. It's like a barge with a big crane or something on it. Might be for logs. Might be hauling it up somewhere to Washington or Portland or somewhere else. They might have brought it down here just to work on it. We have some repair yards here for ships. So they'll haul them in from all over Hawaii, Washington, Alaska, bring them down here, refurbish them or fix them, and then haul them back out. Got fish on. I was snagged for a minute, and then I think a fish came up and pulled me out of the rocks. What do we got? Got a kelp greenland, which is pretty unusual for the size of bait that I was using. I'll take it. They're fun to catch. They put up a little fight. Pretty to look at, but they're not my favorite to eat. And they can have all different kind of crazy colors, from blue to red, speckled. This has got a little blue speckle to it. What's called a kelp greenland. Lingcod love eating these things. You can split a belly on a big lingcod and find these in there quite often. You see the pattern on that thing. They really blend in. They kind of have the same pattern as the lingcod. Same kind of meat too. They just don't have the teeth like the lingcod. He's got that piece of herring in his mouth. All right, we're gonna let this guy go. Fish on. Feels like a lingcod. No shaking, a lot of drag. That's definitely a rockfish. How about that? A rock. Sure felt heavier than that. Guess that's why I wasn't fighting. Another fish on. We're at 50 feet. Thing is pulling hard, but it's shaking its head a lot. See what we can get up here. decent sized copper. He's heavy. He took it and tried to run. We'll keep that one too. I like eating these guys. Well, we got one more herring left. Getting a little late in the morning. I'm gonna go one more drift here and hopefully we can get a bigger fish. If not, at least we have a couple for dinner. And really, I like eating those coppers more than I do the lingcod. The lingcod are more just for the sport, the fight of it. You definitely eat them, but I'd rather eat the coppers. Here's a good example of what happens. My swivel gets hung up and quits working, and then my line gets twisted up. Here comes the Coast Guard. Get out here in this current, start messing with your line and your tackle, looking down, and next thing you know, you're already 200 yards away from where you started. So you pedal back up, drift it again. Got a boat coming in at me. Hopefully I can beat them across the channel here. Made it. He's full of crab pots going out. It's weird how when the tide changes, you'll catch fish after fish, and then the tide changes and it just like turns them off like a switch sometimes. You got people that say, oh, it's best to fish on the incoming tide, and you got the same amount of people saying it's best to fish on the outgoing tide or even slack tide. In my experience, I catch them usually on both directions. It's the slack tide that I don't catch very many. It's where the water just standing still for about a half hour. And I think the clarity of the water has something to do with it too. Just like if they can see you, they're probably not going to bite. So if they see your line, your weight, your tackle, and they see it coming, they're probably less apt to bite your bait. All right, we got one more. Might be the last one of the day. Small copper. I tell you, those things are thick around here. Just a little guy. Oh, I finally lost my hook, so I went the whole time and kept the same rig, which is very unusual out here. Sometimes you spend 5 minutes rigging up your line. As soon as you drop it to the bottom, it catches a rock. This might be the first time I've ever been out here and kept my rig the whole time. Very unusual. Okay, well, we're going home with 2 copper rockfish for dinner. And we're going to leave the big lingcod for next time. You're going to need to hire a camera crew to watch me take pictures of me. They make it look so easy on YouTube. The way they have their cameras set up. I haven't quite figured it out yet, I don't think. Maybe if I had it up here like this the whole time. Maybe I just need 3 cameras. I think that's the key. You get 3 different angles. Like I'm going anywhere. I'm just pedaling. But don't feel like I'm gaining any ground. Just the current coming out of this narrow bay back here. I'm sitting here pedaling my butt off, getting my butt kicked by this current. Doesn't feel like I'm going anywhere. Then I realized I still had my fish outside in the water. It's putting a huge amount of drag on me. I just pulled them in, and what a difference. So yeah, remember to pull your fish into your boat if you're going to try to go against the current. I gotta say, if I didn't have this pedal system on here, pedal drive, and had to just depend on the paddle, I don't think I would make it. I'm just pedaling at a pretty good pace here and just barely making ground. I probably just paddle over to the shore, walk it back along the edge. That's something to think about. If you're totally reliant on something and it breaks down, are you going to be able to get back with just a paddle? Whether it be a pedal drive or your trolling motor, I don't think I'd get back with just a paddle. The bigger the fish, the easier it is. Get these pretty good size fillets out of here. I always try to bleed my fish while they're in the water before I bring them in. I can tell when they haven't been bled. All these little capillaries in the meat will be full of blood, and it just gets a little bit more of a metallic-y, fishy taste. So if you have the opportunity, I think it's always better to bleed your fish. Especially when you get into the bigger fish. I found out with catfish too. People say catfish are bottom fish and they're just muddy tasting, but if they bled their fish, it would cut most of that weird flavor out of it. Same goes for your deer, your big game. If you bleed your animals, let them hang for a while. It helps with the gaminess. I don't usually gut my fish. I'm pretty good at getting the fillet right off without puncturing the gut. If you do puncture the gut, it really, I don't ever have any off-tasting meat. Maybe if you puncture it and then throw it in the cooler and let it sit in the juice, you might have something. But just filleting and puncturing the gut right here, as long as you clean it off right away, it's not like it really soaks into the meat. In my experience. What benefits of fishing out of a marina or a place like this? They have a nice cleaning table, so you don't have to bring that fish home and dispose of the carcass there. Well, that was it. Good day of fishing. Remember to like and subscribe if you like my content. If you have any suggestions for different content, I got a metal detecting session coming up, and then we'll go from there. Might do another hike, but for right now I couldn't pass up this beautiful day to get out on the water. So until next time, get out.